Hi.
Lindsay.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can. Where are you at? That looks beautiful. The
This is my home. Yeah, Brock and I, so my partner and I live in this so he owns the house. There's an A-frame, but this is like I'll kind of show you. Behind me is like
like a divider.
yeah, it's our bedroom. We're fixing up the A-frame part of like the property and we live above the garage. And so we're in this like tiny 500 square foot apartment. But that is our bed over there and it's like our kitchen's right over there.
Dude,
So
that's so awesome.
yeah, he fixed this up. Like he tore out this wall and put in the slat wall himself, which is crazy.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I love it. And
Yeah,
I love that you live in an A-frame. That's like my dream.
yeah, yeah, it's cute. It's so northern Michigan, you know.
100%. Um, well, thank you for meeting. And
Yeah,
I'm really excited to chat because I feel like I don't know you. I know you, but I don't know you that well. So like
yeah,
I want to go deep if you're okay with going deep and then also just sharing a little bit about yourself. I'll introduce you. This is Susie Grace, right?
yeah, yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was just like your handle, but it's such a pretty name, Susie Grace.
Oh, thank you.
She's the creator of Valor Skincare,
Yeah,
which is made and I assume you make everything
yeah.
handmade.
I
Um,
formulate, I formulate and make everything, so they're all like my formulas. Like I'm like a nerd like that. Like I wanna,
that's awesome.
yeah. But yeah, everything I make.
Skincare.
Yes.
Beautiful skincare that is like focused on sustainable packaging or and then also like the ingredients are all natural. So it's a really cool brand. I love it. It's in my bathroom right now. I use your mask. And it's sold all over Michigan, kind of. But I am curious in hearing kind of like how you got started in that, and then if you want to like even go further, like did you grow up in an entrepreneurial, I can't even say the word, household? Did you have support? Like when did you start making this? Yeah, go ahead and go back.
Just kind of everything. Yeah, cool. I was raised in an entrepreneurial home. My dad, when I was younger, my dad owned and took over the family business from my grandfather, like metal machining shop. And they did everything like bone screws and just like metal machining kind of type stuff. But in 2000, two of my brothers and my dad started another company called G5 Outdoors, which is a bow hunting company.
Oh wow.
And they've grown it and they make everything in house. So they own like the full manufacturing facility, and they now make compound bows as well. And so when I was younger, you know, I saw my dad and my brothers just kind of like investing into this thing, you know, and like working long hours and just like being so invested into, you know, their work. And so yeah, I was heavily influenced as far as like um owning my own thing. I always wanted to own my own thing, but I never knew what I wanted to own.
Oh.
But I just love the idea of like investing. And it's like you go to work and you spend so much time at work every day for our whole lives. And I just love the idea of like building something that you're really passionate about. And I've always loved that concept.
Oh
Um,
yeah, 100%. That's so cool that, and then you also have like that support and then
yeah,
also that inspiration.
yeah,
Um, did you
yeah,
go to school?
yeah.
At,
So I kind of bounced around when I was younger. I'm from Port Huron, Michigan, and I never really liked where I was from, so the east side.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm on
Yeah.
the east side.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I like and I was also raised super active. Like my whole family, we played soccer, but then we're also just like really outdoorsy.
Hmm.
And so I moved around a little bit before college. Like I lived in Grand Rapids and then I moved out to Denver and then I settled on Chicago to go to college and I went there for I thought I wanted to be like an advertising person, like you see in movies or TV shows where people like are pitching these ideas and you like run these ads and I'm a very visual person and I love just telling stories visually. And so that's what I thought I wanted to do with my career or my like life, I guess. So I went to Columbia College in Chicago and started working in like advertising. Um, but then my sister at the same time moved out to Maui with her husband, and so I would go visit her, like for long periods of time, like 3 to 4 week vacation.
Awesome.
And I fell in love with it was like Maui's like polar opposite of Chicago, right? Like it's like so chill, so about nature, so about like passion and like living this like really great in my mind life. And then Chicago is like the hustle, kind of miserable people, it feels like there's like
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of lovely people there, but like in my mind at the time, I was like, why am I living in Chicago when I actually really love the lifestyle of Maui? So I moved out to Maui
Oh, wow.
and lived there for a few years and was very fortunate with jobs. And then I moved here to Traverse City. So,
Wow.
so yeah, sorry, that was kind of like,
Yeah, no, I didn't know you lived in Maui. That's awesome. Is that how you fell in love with like the water or?
yeah. So when I started going out to Maui, I was actually super scared of the water. Like I almost drowned when I was younger, and my sister. So I'd go on these vacations and visit my sister, and she kind of helped me, like holding my hand, literally at times in the water, get comfortable, and then yeah, I grew up skateboarding too.
Oh,
So I've always been into like just that lifestyle, like skateboarder, surfer is kind of like the same.
same.
Yeah, yeah. And so I moved out to Maui with like the hopes of I would become like a water person. And then I did. I had some incredible experiences that just like I'll tell you one. There's this one time when I was living out there and I was in between jobs, finding a good job on Maui is kind of hard. But so I would go to the same beach every day, and in Hawaii, lifeguards are regarded very highly. Like they're like a really great job. You super respect them. And so because I was going to the same beach every day, I got to be friends with the lifeguards. And one day they were like, Susie, do you want to? There's really far offshore, there are these scuba divers, and they haven't moved in a while. We're going to go check on them. And so I was like scared. I was like, no, I don't want to go. Like that's too far, too scary. But I decided, yeah, I was like, this is the best time to go with this Hawaiian, lifeguard. Anyways, I paddled out with him, like stand up paddled out with him. It was over a half mile offshore, and
Wow.
we caught up with the scuba divers, and they were fine. And then the lifeguard's name Daryl, he was like, Susie, get in the water, because I want to go. I was like this on my board. I want to get in the water because we were so far out. I was still kind of had that fear. And so he convinced me to get in the water, and he had this mask, and he was like, just look at the water, like go under, look at the water. And I remember I did, and I came up and I was like, it's the prettiest blue I've ever seen in my entire life. And then I
Wow.
went under again, and all of a sudden I heard something, this like really high pitched noise, and I saw white. And just being from the Midwest, I was like, oh my God, a shark, So I came
Yeah.
and I was like, Daryl, there's a shark. And I got on my board and kind of like brought my legs in, and all of a sudden, a humpback whale 5 yards away didn't breach, but like came up and like checked us out. And it was like
Wow.
this huge like being came out of nowhere, and like ever since that moment, I've been in love with the water. So
Oh my God, I don't know what would scare me worse though, like a big
yeah.
old whale that's massive or a shark.
Yeah, like its eyeball, right? Like its eyeball, it was so big, and it was like that thing came out of the abyss, you know? Like,
That's a little scary, but that is incredible.
yeah, yeah.
Um, oh my gosh, so you said stand-up paddling? Is that what you were doing out there?
Yeah, we just took our stand-up boards just to go like check on them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mhm.
So then you were like at the beach swimming a lot, or were you surfing or
So I guess I've never really been just like a straight swimmer.
yeah.
I don't know.
Me
Like I'll
either.
go in and swim, but I'm not like swimming around or whatever. I got into stand-up paddling. I surfed a little bit, but I've dislocated both of my shoulders before. And so the full rotation is kind of hard for me, was kind of hard. I actually one day one day when I was out there dislocated my shoulder in the water when I was surfing and had to be like rescued. um and so
Oh wow.
I kind of did more stand-up surfing, and then I got into downwinding. So on the north shore of Maui, there are these different downwind runs because the trade winds blow the same direction every day. You go out at this one spot and then you go like 8 miles. Um, and you kind of go far out, and because of the trade winds are blowing the same direction, there are these huge wind swells that aren't breaking, but they're like massive. And so my favorite thing got to be my favorite thing that I did out there was downwinding. So on like a 14-foot board, you paddle kind of like perpendicular and just kind of straight offshore, but then you turn and you get to stand a paddle, but then you catch these massive swells and you kind of like catch the swell and kind of do this like zigzag, just like for miles, like a long shore. And so that got to be like the thing that I love to do. Oh,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
That sounds lovely. I've never done that before. It sounds a little easier than like just paddling against the wind or something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an amazing workout if you want to talk
Mm.
about it that way, but it's also like you're so like these waves are coming up behind you and you have to paddle to catch it, just like surfing. But then
Oh,
but there's always more, you know, and it's kind of like a parallel for life a little bit, because like you try to catch this wave and then you do or you don't. And you get to ride it, and then you can maybe connect, and then you connect, and it's this kind of like this like very peaceful but beautiful way of like, I don't know, just experiencing the ocean where you're just like super connected to everything.
yeah, it sounds lovely. I didn't realize that's what it was like.
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
you can downwind here in Michigan a little bit because we do get the winds, you know, and people surf waves with because of the wind. You just have to find the right point, like point to point, to do it. So
Very cool.
yeah,
So then how did you start Valor? Was it Valor? Valor.
Valor. I always like to say it's like a Midwest or Valor, you know. So that is what's crazy about skincare and me is that had you known me 10 years ago, I was not super into skincare. I've always been super like a natural person. But about 8 years ago, I had a late term pregnancy loss. And while I was trying to find out what happened, like I had like all of the conventional medicine, and my OBGYN didn't have answers as far as what happened. And so I made a list of what happened in my own mind, which at the top of the list was that I had used this really expensive skincare product while I was still pregnant. And when I put it on my face, I had this very visceral feeling of like, get it off your face. And
Wow.
and um and then, you know, a week later, a couple weeks later, or some amount of time later, I had the loss. And through the grieving phase, you know, trying to figure out life and what happened, and like all of the things that come with that type of loss, I started making my own products. um, and because I started researching what was in that product that could have hurt me. And my research just kind of like turned into this like thousands of hours kind of me researching that the FDA doesn't regulate personal care and skincare products. And then also just like so many known carcinogens, hormone disruptors are used in personal care products here in the US. And so that's why I started making my own products because I was just scared. And so many natural products actually don't work that well. And so I wasn't planning at the time, I wasn't planning on starting a brand. I just wanted to protect myself and then also protect my loved ones and my friends and everyone. I was like, I felt like I found out this information that I wanted to protect everyone and share it with everyone. So I started making products and then fell in love with the formulation process and fell in love with nature and how nature can heal us. And then a couple years down the road of me just making products, pushing them on everyone, people started telling me that the products started helping them, and it like, helped them feel confident or helped heal something or whatever it was. And that's when I decided to start Valor. I was like, sometimes life gives us hard situations, and for me, that situation kind of propelled me to start making products, and with the feedback that I got, it was like, maybe I can help everyone, and there's so many people don't realize what they're putting on their bodies and like every day in their hair, on their armpits, like everything.
So
it,
true.
yeah. So
Yeah. So that was you've been doing this now for like 8 years?
I started making products 8 years ago. Like
Oh,
the pregnancy loss I had was 8 years ago, and that's what launched me to start making products. So yeah, so
yeah.
I've been making products for 8 years. I started Valor in 2019 um,
Okay.
as like an actual LLC, but I was still grieving really heavily still. It's not funny, but like I just recall like I just wasn't really in the place to actually put myself out there, and put my story out there. Because and like the only reason I started Valor was because of this loss I went through. Like and so it's a very much like a part of Valor. Like that was the launching point. Um, but then,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. But then I was working full time at the time at M22 still. And so I actually put Valor on a pause and kind of ended it because I just didn't have, I wasn't really ready to put myself out there, and I was working full time. I didn't have the energy to do both things. And so about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I decided to leave M22 and go full time into Valor. So
Yeah.
well, that's kind of the story. So it's kind of
I mean, it's grown like so fast, I feel like, and you've done such a good job just like distributing it to places. And I feel like, did you have like a plan when you, yeah.
no. No, yeah, no, definitely not. And I do want to say Traverse City up here in northern Michigan, because we are so remote, there's a lot of support for local,
Yeah.
and like I haven't like something I'm not good at. I think everyone knows me. I'm not a very good salesperson. Um
That's the hard part. I'm not either.
yeah, well, like it's like I just want you to use it. Like, I don't know, here, just use it, please.
It's hard for, I feel like you're either a creative or you're like a salesperson. It's like hard to be both.
Yes.
I
And
know.
so many people tell me like, well, that is sales, like being yourself and like how you present everything. But for me, it doesn't feel like I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because but anyways, yeah, I didn't have a plan of what I'm doing. It just kind of comes to me, like I I I have very strong like morals and like what I believe I want to see in the world. And morals is kind of like a loose, like I just believe really strong things. And so I just kind of like try to incorporate it all into Valor. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like one of my questions that well, first off, like that is an extreme loss, and I'm sorry that, but also like it, like you said, I do feel like even that you'll never know if, and I'm sure you know this, if that was for sure, like the reason. I don't know if you'll ever know, and I don't even know if that necessarily is. But what it did do is like it kind of showed you like what you wanted, like what you're gonna do now. Like it gave you a passion, it gave you something that's needed. Um, and it was maybe it could have been like your own instinct saying that like I don't want to use these products anymore. These aren't healthy for people. I mean, it could have been just like your intuition speaking as well,
Yeah.
not necessarily like the cause. So I don't know if, we'll never know that. And that's the hard part. I'm sure you
Yeah.
know this after years of grieving, and it's so fucked up. Grieving is such a roller coaster.
Yeah. Well, what a big thing it did teach me, like you're saying, is like I'll never know, and like letting go of like it's just kind of life, and like acceptance of like shitty stuff
Shitty
happens.
stuff happens, and,
Yeah.
like, I learned that too, like, a lot of other things are good in my life, so, like, I did have, I've had a loss too, and it's like, it's just, like, my turn, and
Yeah.
some people have everyone goes through losses and shitty fucking stuff. Not I think everyone does, at least at some point in your life. Like, it sucks that you're so young and, that happened at a young age too, but, that's, like, one thing for sure is I've learned too is, like, we're all gonna have loss.
Yeah.
Just sucks.
Yeah. Well, I think our society as well, another thing it taught me is like, and it made so prevalent in my life is that like we all do die, like death is a actual real thing that's going to happen to all of us, and we really don't know when it's going to happen. And to experience loss at a younger age or whatever, like it just made it more like life is so precious, and like all the things that maybe were holding me back then, and I still struggle with this. But like create what I want to create is kind of one the thing, and that's kind of what helped me launch Valor as well. Like I always wanted to own my own business, but I never felt confident enough to start anything, because I wasn't realizing that like this is my life, right now. There's no there's not like I'm not getting ready. Nothing's preparing me for my actual life, right? Like I think we kind of think that like once we finish college our life starts, once we get married, have kids, like we were like always waiting for our life to start kind of. And the loss kind of taught me that like it's now, and it's not going to be pretty. Whatever you do decide to start or build or like create in your life, it's not going to be what Instagram or whatever social media it's
Right.
gonna it's gonna be real and it's gonna be raw, but like just start creating what you want, and like start now because you don't know how long you have. So
Right, and everyone starts, like, not everyone, but, like, it doesn't have to be big, it can be small, and,
yeah.
like you said, like, now there's no better time than now. Like, you'll never feel fully ready. You'll always be, like, a little bit scared and, like, a little nervous, and you are putting yourself out there. Like, that is scary, but, like, that's part of it, and also you grow so much when you
Oh
do
my
it.
God. Yes. I was just saying this yesterday. Like starting a business and putting yourself out there, like you're saying, is like the best and hardest form of therapy, period. like I see so many parallels of like what's hindering me maybe in Valor is also what has hindered me in my life, or where I excel in my life I also excel in Valor, but it's like it really becomes apparent what is going on with me as I look at what's going on with Valor. Like it's crazy how it just kind of like shows you, what's really going on kind of.
Yeah. How have you grown?
Oh my goodness. we don't I feel like we don't have enough time. uh I am trusting myself more, like, yeah, a lot. So I'm going to say, so I'm learning to trust myself more. Um, I'm the youngest of five kids, and I think I've always let praise and what other people think about me affect where I go and what I do. Not to say that they're making my life decisions, but I'm constantly like, is this right? Is this good? Is this okay? And with Valor, I'm learning to, I'm creating what I want to see in the world with Valor. And like, only I know what that looks like, what that is. And it's teaching me to really, yeah, trust myself. Um, oh my gosh, I could go on forever. But that's a big one. I was literally talking about yesterday in this entrepreneur, entrepreneurial group meetup. So
That's actually like you're teaching me actually right now because I feel like I'm in this thing of trying to please all of like the customers
yeah,
and like please like the teachers and the customers because I own a yoga studio for anyone who doesn't know, but I get into like trying to please what they want, and I'm like, now you're teaching me too, like what they want is not always uh it's not like the best foundation, I guess. Like you have to have like your why, your values, and all those things. Cause
yeah,
that's like what I am offering, which is like kind of like a representation of the space in the studio.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's something for me to think about. Like,
yeah.
but what are some of the things that you value and like that you want to bring? Like I know like clean products and stuff, but like
Mhm.
in your personal life, like what are some of the things that you value? Just like about how to live life. Like what is living like for you?
Yeah. Um, so I value live like a lot of people say this, use this word is very popular, authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, like being like in surf terms, being a kook, like being willing to be different and maybe stand out or not stand out, because it's who you truly are. I did say like I do look for outside approval, but at the same time I have this really strong inner confidence where I live like my own Susie life. Like I'm 42 and I skateboard and I'm a female, like that's not normal, but absolutely love skateboarding, and I'm not going to give it up because I'm not supposed to. And so stuff like that where like the stuff that really lights me up, I'm going to do and continue doing, and not because there's a societal standard that tells me now you do this and now you do that. And so, um, I guess to wrap that up, the idea up, it's like just knowing yourself and in living the life that like I want to live. That's a huge value of mine. Another thing is taking care of the earth. Um, it's insane to me that we like live on this planet that's insanely beautiful, and then we go and we travel or we like appreciate like the beach or this trail in the woods, and then we also like leave trash there, or like I don't know, that's just like such a double standard that like it just doesn't make sense. So just you know taking care of beautiful things, but then also understanding that everything we buy or everything we might even do affects our surroundings, our environment. And so be understanding our place within the like the larger greater good kind of the good, like I don't know, that's a very important thing.
Did
um
you do you feel like you learned that from Hawaii? Like, isn't that pretty, like,
yeah.
that's a big part of their culture is like being in relationship with the earth and nature?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It's crazy how many people watch sunset there. Like
Mhm.
not just the tourists, like it is a legit thing. You go down and watch the sunset. And yeah, whether people are up for sunrise or sunset, they're in touch with like nature. So absolutely yes, I feel like I learned so many of my values on Maui. There's just like a appreciation for like the slow moments, which I feel like in the slow moments is like really when we learn more about ourselves as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, oh man, I can't even. It's interesting. Hawaii is very heavily influenced from the Asian countries. And so,
Mhm.
and so though, it is a US state, it there's just different, like even like from the kind of like the government down, like there's just like a different way of operating, because it's not heavily focused on like Christianity, you know,
Mm.
and even though like someone might not be a Christian here in the Midwest, everything's kind of founded and run on these same kind of morals, which I was raised Christian, very, very Christian. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing whatsoever, but to live in a place like Hawaii that has just like different kind of underlying energy of like different ideas of how life should be, how community should be, and all of that. It taught me a lot about what my values are as well, which is like the taking care of the earth, like being a part of something. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I see a lot of like when you say slowing down, it's um a lot of people here have trouble with that, especially even in a yoga class, they prefer like a faster class um or just a class that has like that the teacher has high energy or something. So we have beautiful teachers that are of all types of teachers, but it seems to be like the more mindful, slow classes. People don't, it's harder for them and they don't love it. But it's like that's like yoga. That's what it is, like sitting still with yourself, coming to that space where you're like connected to everything, which I feel like other cultures just naturally live that way. But like
yeah,
for us, we sort of have to like practice slowing down and like being mindful and like because it's kind of like a muscle. If you don't use it, it's harder and you're out of touch with it. Um, Also like, our culture is very heavily caffeinated and I mean, I'm guilty of that too. Like when I started my business, I started drinking caffeine just because I felt like I wasn't doing enough and I needed to be more productive and stuff. That's my own battle. But I never did before. When I was practicing yoga regularly and just like on my own tea and stuff, it was like really chill. So there's this like pressure to perform here and be productive and do a lot and
yeah.
make money.
Yes, exactly. And also like I feel like yoga and then also just everything in our lives, like we do it to get something, right? Like
Hmm.
people do yoga, or like the US version of yoga is like you do it to get a yoga body,
Mm.
you don't do it for the sole purpose of connecting and going inside,
Yeah.
but I feel like our whole society is that way. Like we don't have like hobbies really where we just do it because we love it, like, or it just lights us up. We do it because, oh, maybe I can make money at it, or maybe I can be the best, and people will like think I'm good, and they like there's just so many things where we do it just for recognition, and yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah, the
crazy.
ego is very large here in the West or in like the United States. Lots of ego. It's hard to, but it's so hard, at least for me, it's hard to like for me to not feed into that either. Like
Same.
I fall into that way of being all the time. Like, all right, I'll get Taco Bell or whatever. It's easier for you because you live more remotely, but like when you're in the city, it's so hard to like eat consciously, socialize consciously, like the people that the hobbies that people do here, Dustin and I talk about this all the time, are just so different than like where you are, and even the people are kind of different. So it's a little easier for you, I think. You're not all the people that live in your area, I think, are like outdoorsy and have probably more hobbies. And where I live, it's a lot more like work focused, career, like 9 to 5 grind and
Yeah,
fast
like
food.
definitely on the east side. That's what, or even like Grand Rapids too, or like cities. Just I feel like where there's
The
like,
cities.
yeah, where there's a lot of people, it's just keeping up with the Joneses, kind of, like, yeah. It is harder to get to nature though, when you are in cities, most cities, or like green spaces that like inspire people to slow down.
Totally. And then that could be like a thing. Like we could be being blocked from that like um groundedness that we have to work so hard for. Like we have to go to yoga. It's harder to be grounded when you're like surrounded by concrete, or like I was talking to someone else last week, and he was talking about how like the concrete, the sun blocks the concrete from like the ground, and like the ground's not healthy, and then like EMFs are bouncing all over the place. So like it could be like it's not like it is harder. It's
Mhm.
it's it's harder to feel grounded when you are living in a city. I
Yeah.
think the cars too, and all of the sounds, everything.
Yeah. That's a good point about the like the concrete covering the earth. Or like the
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And
an
I wonder if it like bounces off. So like normally like maybe sound and vibrations would go into the ground and sort of like even out. And I wonder if the concrete sort of like bounces things off more. Things are a little bit more unbalanced possibly.
yeah.
I never even thought about that too. Like when I'm talking about like radiate, like I don't know what it's called, radiation, or the EMFs from like cell towers and whatever the heck's in the air.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're
I'm not
talking.
that technical. I don't know exactly what it's called. But you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah, it doesn't have a place to go, and so there's all these hard surfaces that it's just like bouncing where like trees or the earth or dirt or whatever would like absorb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and yeah, it's interesting to think of that. But yeah, we're going off. I could
Yeah.
talk about like healthy lifestyle forever as well. But I think that's super cool that you had that experience in Hawaii. It's such a different it's kind of just like how I envision the whole world needs to be, and would just I think that's the ideal way of living as well. And it's just so hard to get people on board with that. I don't know if people even understand what they're missing out on.
Yeah, that's oh my God, yes. Like they don't know how peaceful and they're just like simple in a like a such a good way life can be. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
exactly.
I know if we all just sort of chill out a little bit.
Yeah, right. And they actually have like fun. Like I feel like people they don't have like fun and whatever that means for them, but like just have fun and laugh and like talk story is a term or like a Hawaiian word, not Hawaiian, but a term that gets talked about a lot is you just talk, right? You're just telling stories with your friends. Like there's no like end. You're just talking story. And you can talk story like we're talking story, like um you just like
Yeah.
enjoying each other's company and just like whatever comes up, and like
Yeah,
it
exactly. Yeah, I love that. And I love talking about random deep stuff, not like what did you think today? Like what were you contemplating today? I would love to know. Like those are the types of things. Like what are
yeah.
you going through right now?
Yeah.
Um yeah, what have been some of your challenges?
With Valor.
Yeah, or just like starting your business and
So skincare, probably the biggest challenge that I feel and I everything every day is skincare is such a big like category. It's such a big business. There's so much emphasis on vanity and beauty within the skincare world. And oftentimes, when I say skincare and I'm talking to a male or someone, that everyone thinks there's a certain way that skincare is, and it's this huge thing that's just basically focused on making people beautiful. um, and so that is like uphill battle that I'll forever with Valor am up against, where I really just believe that um, skincare is just taking care of yourself. There is a added bonus of having nice looking skin, which equals a beautiful person. But
Yeah, you're so right. People equate, sorry to interrupt you, but you're sparking. People equate skincare with like no wrinkles, like
yes,
I want to look more beautiful. They're
yes,
not thinking, oh, this is hydrating or like, I
yeah.
don't know I'm sure you know all the benefits. There's probably a ton.
Yeah. Well, so something that is interesting that I've learned is that our skin is our ultimately our first line of immunity, or like just of defense kind of for our whole body. And one way that is so cool to me, that our skin is that way, it's that um it's acidic. So it's an acidic environment, meaning like on the pH scale where water is a 7 and it's neutral, our skin is lower. And the reason for that is that when something lands, like a bacteria or something lands on our skin, the acidity or the slightly acidic environment it'll like kill that bacteria that might hurt our inside.
Yeah.
And so that I like that. That's just so neat, right? That like our bodies operate in that way. And because it is more acidic, you don't want to put something on your skin that's alkaline, because it put it in balance and your skin will have to work hard, and then maybe it'll let the bacteria in if you have a cut. And so it, or if you have like alkaline skin, is like it creates dry skin, and then there's like little cracks kind of in your skin, and so the bacteria could get in. So there's just like a lot of like neat things about our skin that we don't really equate to like health. It's just like you said, it's about like having perfect tone, perfect like tautness or whatever. But it really is protecting us. Like it's our it's our largest organ, and it's just our first line of defense for our immunity. So
Yeah, that's
it's
so interesting. I never knew that.
yeah.
Makes sense though.
Yeah, right? Like it's neat. It's kind of like the hairs in our nose. Like they seem like nuisances and we don't want anyone to see them, but they're filtering if there's dust or a bug that might fly up there or whatever. Um our bodies are really amazing, and we like do so many things to counterbalance what our bodies are naturally trying to do to protect us and like our whole like system. So anyways, I could go on, I could talk about that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. And what are some of the other benefits though? Like we want like vitamins or
Vitamins, so vitamin A and vitamin C are very good for our skin, both topically, and then also internally. And so what a lot of people don't realize as well is that the number one thing you can do for your skin is, or actually top two things, is just drink water, hydrate,
Mm.
but then also eat really good food. And so the vitamins that are getting into your body, it shows through on your skin. And so both topically vitamin A and vitamin C, but then also internally if you drink um like different juices that are high in vitamin C, or different teas, or like carrots are high in vitamin A. Stuff like that comes out through your skin. Or like, yeah, your skin is kind of like a map of what's going on internally. Um,
Wow.
yeah, but then like omega 3 or omega 6, if you use that topically on your skin as well, that helps keep your moisture barrier or your like skin barrier healthy as well. So there's just a lot of, yeah, like vitamins or nutrients that just kind of keeps an overall health to your skin.
So is there such thing as like a healthy, I don't know if healthy is the right word, safe, healthy, um, like what people put on like a exfoliator, or do you exfoliate?
Yeah, I'm a big person for exfoliation because so there's two different types of exfoliating. There's mechanical, which is like an abrasion, you know, if you ever use like a sugar scrub or something, that's known as mechanical exfoliation. And then there's enzyme exfoliation, which goes into your pores. And a natural enzyme exfoliator is like pumpkin.
Ooh,
Um, it just like it's able to get into your pores and clear out your pores of all like the dead skin cells or maybe dirt or pollution or grime that just kind of settles on your skin. But yeah, so I exfoliate every day. My face cleanser has like a very, very fine um, uh, exfoliator. And then I also have, so I have a mechanical and I have pumpkin in the face cleanser, but it's just like a really gentle, like there's no micro tears or anything. It's just very gentle. And yeah, I'm a big proponent for that. there it's interesting though because a lot of like estheticians, you know, like I'm not a trained esthetician, and there's different views, you know, like everything on like
totally.
what you should do. But as like an athlete and someone that's active and I'm outside and I'm dirty off, like I like to be dirty, I like to be like out in nature. Having an exfoliator to get all of that stuff off is really important.
Yeah. Do you use hydrochloric acid, or do you believe in that?
Hydrochloric.
Or wait, what do
Oh,
what's
hyaluronic acid.
I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever people are putting on their face
Yeah.
to
So
wrinkle reduce.
yeah, I definitely use hyaluronic acid. And what is interesting about, so it has a scary name because of the acid, but it's in our skin, in our bodies already. And then as we get older, we're losing it. And so that's where the lines come from.
Mm.
Basically, we're losing that in our bodies, and then wrinkles start to show, or we're losing that plumpness, you know. And so, yeah, hyaluronic acid, if it's, so there's different size molecules, and if it's a small enough size molecule of hyaluronic acid, it can penetrate deeper layers of your skin to help give back some hydration or like plumpness that you might have lost.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's actually, it's not like it sounds scary because of acid, but it's actually a
It
really
does.
gentle and good ingredient
And
and natural.
don't use hydrochloric acid.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
We're not
Yeah, not promoting.
suggesting that. Yeah. Um it's funny. Yeah, I'm not technical when it comes to, so I'm not sciencey.
Yeah, I'm a big nerd. I didn't realize I was a big nerd till I started doing this stuff, but I'm just like, yeah, I love ingredients. I love what it like learning and researching and like testing and all of that stuff. I'm just, yeah, I get super stoked about it.
Nice, nice. How do you feel about like Botox and things like that, fillers?
I um it's just this is such a hard topic because I feel very strong. I think it's insane. Okay, I think it's insane. I
Yeah,
I don't want to make anyone feel bad though. You know,
yeah,
so I often stay quiet about a lot of things, but internally, I think how much people focus on what they look like
yeah,
versus who they are and what they do or how they treat people. You know, like so Botox is kind of like, or any kind of filler or whatever, it's like why does it matter so much, you know what I mean, like
yeah.
it's for and to be completely honest, I have very thin lips, and I've considered getting lip filler because of this perception of beauty
Same.
is like bigger, fuller lips. And I still contemplate it every now and then, to be completely honest. The thought will pop in my head of just like, I'll see a photo of me and it's like, man, I wish I had thicker lips, and it's a constant battle. However, I believe that who I am and what I do and how I treat people is so much more of a priority
Yeah,
than what I look like. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's actually also a slippery slope.
it
Like
is.
once you start doing that, it turns into everything else. So, anyways, that's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want to bash on it either. I didn't mean it like that. And I just wasn't sure if like health wise there was like some concern to be like, what are like the side effects in the long term? I feel like it's gotta be something, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I think, yeah, I don't think it's been used long enough to know what the long-term effects are.
Yeah,
And like, there's no like, they're not going to study something that's making so much money for them,
right.
to prove that it's maybe bad.
Right. That's
Who's
a good point.
who's going to fund the studies to prove that filler when like it's so much money? All these things are so much
I
money, and it's
know.
like,
And then
um,
something you have to do like regularly. And I just like you said, it's a slippery slope. And I
yeah,
also feel like it just starts to like what's the message I'm sending if I do
yeah,
that? And
yeah.
like, am I then not accepting of myself? Even though, yeah, like I would love bigger lips too. There's so much I would love differently about myself. I've got like chubby cheeks. I've got so many things,
They're
but
so cute. Face is so cute. Yeah.
chubby cheek syndrome. But it's yeah, but then what am I doing? I'm just propelling this machine and it's something that I do feel like I have to actively resist though, especially when it starts to you might be a little bit more removed. But it is definitely more like it's not it's like a thing now. It's like a common thing in small cities, which I never thought I would see the day. I'm in a fairly small city. I mean, I'm not in LA or anything like that. So, but when you start to see that and you're like, these are just middle class people,
Yeah.
it's you do start to feel like really like pressured and you're like, all right, should I do this? And it's like, no, come on, no. What am I thinking? But it infiltrates me and I'm sure I'm not alone.
Uh, I feel
Yeah.
the same thing, and it is insane how many like normal people have done it, continued to do it. Yeah. I mean, even up here in Traverse City, it's pretty insane how many people do it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just that thing I'll have to always there'll always be like people who don't do it. So it's fine. It is what it is, but it starts to then it kind of separates like I don't know. It does sort of separate me from this group of people. It does feel like I am a little bit more different and
yeah.
um
So another thing, kind of to kind of go on what you were just saying, and then also what you asked me, being someone in the skincare industry, that isn't into like wearing makeup or or fillers or like being super bougie, that's another thing that's really challenging for me. I often get people when they find out like I'm the owner of Valor, they say, oh, you're so down to earth, and it's I often get just like, there's an expectation of what I should look like or my values or what I should be into as far as my appearances. And that's like a big thing I fight against and question, like, is this where I should be? Because I am so different, and how I'm approaching, um, how I'm making products and everything is so different. But then also how I live is so different than so many other skincare people. It's very isolating and alienating for me. But then at the same time, I think if I get around the fear, it's maybe where I'm supposed to be. And maybe I can inspire other people to be different in a category that's so one way, or not even inspire. I'm not trying to prop myself up, but maybe like, um, or like some normal, like outdoorsy girl or guy looks at me and just says, like I relate to her,
100%. That's yeah, I was gonna say that. You give people someone to relate to. Like you're giving people permission to be like you, down to earth or whatever, which is a good thing, You're giving the more you are you, your authenticity is allowing people to also be their true authentic self, which I think all of us to our core are kind of are these down to earth people. It's just we've sort of put these masks on to like play this role or like look better or like kind of compete. Um, and so it's not, I think at our core, all of us are really like slow, it, like Hawaii people.
Yeah.
And somehow we've gotten so far away from it. And we've just sort of forgotten like our roots and just what it is to be like a human instead of like a machine that just makes money. Like money drives so many people. It's such a addiction. And it's like it's more valued than anything. People put
Yes.
it above their families, people put it above their health,
Yes.
everything.
Well, yeah, learning that there is more wealth than just money, you know,
Right.
that was a big thing in Hawaii as well. Like you could be living in the tiniest shack or whatever on Maui, but you have so much wealth around you. If
Yeah,
you're looking at wealth as like you're saying, like it's just there's just so much more to value than just money, So
100%.
yeah.
And we'll start to wrap things up. What does valor mean?
So Valor, I'll tell you shortly a story. I was listening to a podcast a couple years ago, and Terry Crews, who's like an actor, football player, he was talking about courage and having the courage to be yourself, go after your dreams. Like he was like getting super hyped, and I was listening to the podcast, and I was getting super stoked myself, and like jumping around my apartment at the time, and I was like, yeah, I want to have courage. I want to like go out into the world and do what I'm supposed to do. And that's when I decided to start the skincare company. And so I was like, yeah, courage, courage, But then I was like, I can't call it courage skincare. I didn't, it felt just too cheesy in a way. So I looked at the thesaurus and I saw the word valor, which means courage. And it means to put on your armor, to go out into that's been used to go out into battle, go to put on your armor, to feel courageous, And so I kind of took that, and why I called it Valor Skincare is that I want people to, when they use the products, they put on their valor so they can be courageous in their life, or they can feel the courage of being themselves. I also called it Valor because I needed the courage to do what I know and still know is hard, and like, but to have the courage to live the life that I do want to create and all of that. So that's what that means.
I love it. It's so fitting and perfect.
Huh.
And I'm glad you took the leap. Did it
Yeah.
feel like a leap for you?
Oh yeah. And it felt like a leap, but honestly, it was I was at the lowest point of my life, and so in a positive way, I was like, even if it fails, like it can't get worse than where I was at. And so, I was just like, let's go, like I kind of didn't know what else to do either. So it felt like a huge leap and a huge step, but also like it felt like just normal. Now that I reflect, it felt like what else would I have done in a way,
Were you
so
searching for something more? What were you feeling like at that time? Like sort of dissatisfied or
well, I had gone through the loss, and so I kind of, and that like it literally like blew up my my entire life. And so it was like, for me, it was like, how do I restart, and an analogy that I had, like, when you're on like a highway and you're stuck in traffic and you're supposed to be going 70, 75, but you're stopped, but the other way is like going 75, like the other direction is. Um, when I launched Valor, I felt completely stopped, and like life was going by, and for everyone else, it was just like this, like, but I was stopped. And so when I started Valor, it was like, it was the only way to get moving for me. Um, I'm sure there was many other ways I could have gotten moving. Um, but at the time it's the only way that felt like I could go.
Yeah.
It should go. And so it was, yeah. So it felt like a leap because anything felt like a leap at the time, but it also felt very natural. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I know that's vulnerable to do, and but also I think that you could inspire a lot of people, because I think that loss and can really stop the tracks, and it does. It stops you in your tracks, and depending on the loss, it could debilitate you for years. And I think at some point it's healthy to move forward, but it's hard to take that step because you feel like you're letting go of um that person or whatever it was that you lost. But that's just a story. That's just the fear, because there's still, I don't know if you really feel that way, but like I almost feel them more when I'm moving forward and in my joy than when I'm in my grief, sad, and because for a while it was like I don't feel them around me, but it's like when I start moving, it's like okay, I feel them again. I feel that love. I feel their love. I feel so. I think it's hard though, because there is like this mental battle of like, oh, I don't want to let go
yeah.
of like that old whatever it was. It could be a job, it could be a person, it could be so many things, and but the grief and the loss feels like a grief and a loss, regardless of big or small it is. It can be small.
Yes. I I've heard too that like grief is love that doesn't have a place to go.
Hmm.
And so when you are moving, when you are doing something productive, is like not the word I want to use, but something with the grief. I think maybe like you're talking about this when you feel them more because it's love being transferred into a different thing.
Like what you're doing now, your love is going there. Yeah, and you're probably are in more in being love. You're,
Yeah.
instead of being like um the dark side of life, which is a process. I don't think there's a way around it. But yeah, you sharing your story, I think might help someone move forward with like their idea or whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be like, it can change. It doesn't even have to be set in stone. I mean, that's something you probably learned too. Like you try something, some things work, some things might not work, and you've had to throw it out and try again, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all experiments really, like what's gonna stick, what feels good for me, all of it. Yeah. It's just
Hmm.
a constant flow, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure chatting, and like I hope to see you soon. And I would love to like come check out your space. So if I'm ever in Traverse City, I'm gonna message you and just come over.
Yeah. Cool. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Well, enjoy. Thank you again.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you. This was awesome.
Good. All right. Bye.
Bye.